tonight's episode, we have a live performance and a music video from the band Muskill, and we get a chance to speak to their lead singer and guitarist, Dan Paul.
Hello, good evening, I'm Andy.
It's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
And welcome to episode 1 of the ADK channel. We're going to kick it straight off and talk about some of the albums that we've been checking out over the last week.
Yes.
And see what we thought about. These are new albums that have just sort of come out. So we've got 3 we're going to look at today. The first one is, I can't pronounce this, is it Gaerea?
We think it's Gaerea, Portuguese
Mirage.
black metal band on Season of Mist. Yep, Mirage.
Mirage, okay. I'm going to step out of this one for a second and just leave my feedback to the end. Andy, what did you think of the album?
Yeah, I quite liked it. As Kirk said, sort of black metal from Portugal, was it?
Portugal. Anonymous black metal.
Yeah, almost enters the realm of DSBM, depressive and suicidal black metals, emotional vocals. Yeah, I really liked it. A couple of standout tracks, but yeah.
How long was the album? Was it 56 minutes?
It's about a minute and a half for me.
So I've got to review this album, and I have to say it is going to get a 5 out of 10. We reviewed, somebody else for Screenmaster reviewed their 2020 album and gave it 7 out of 10. I have got to say this one, I like listening to dissonant extreme metal, but this was like listening to a fucking Hoover. Honestly, it was unlistenable.
That's hard.
Unlistenable. I don't understand why extreme metal, black metal has gone in this direction where they're using shoegaze, pedal loops, blast beats and harsh vocals. Those 3 things do not go together for me. I liked track number 1 because there was almost like a clean acoustic arpeggio.
Yeah.
And then from there it just lost me. It got to track number 3 and I was like, when is this coming to an end? So I was not impressed with it. I found it unlistenable.
Okay, from my point of view, from a black metal album, it sounds like a brutal black metal album is. So it sounds like a great example of a brutal black metal album.
I agree.
But I can't stand black metal. I absolutely hate blast beats. Because I like music where you can lock yourself, you can get your body into the groove of it, whether that's a head mosh, if that's when it's
There's some slow doomy passages as well.
Well, that's it. I liked that.
Very sparse, but
yeah.
I think your description pretty much sums up the album, Dave.
But if you're into an extreme black metal album, then this is probably
See,
a great
I don't
album.
think it was extreme. To me, you know that deliberate atonal, unmelodious guitar approach, which is very sophisticated, and I've got to say,
There were so many words there I didn't understand.
they are a theoretical band. They are. It's clear that these are musicians who understand musical theory, and I understand what they're doing. I just didn't find it listenable.
Okay. So where do we see? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Thumbs down for me.
I didn't hate it, but thumbs down. I was bored shitless by it.
So, unfortunately, but if you're into black metal, go check them out. It's good for you.
We think they're called Gaerea.
Gaerea.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the list. Now, you hadn't had a chance to listen. This is Megadeth's The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. Now, have you done a review for this already?
Yeah,
So you have. Well, what did you think about the album?
Oh, quite positive. We give it a 7 out of 10. I've just realised, though, Dave Mustaine, there's no aggression in his vocals. That just lets them down. Musically, I would say at least 5 of those songs are, you could say, instant classics. The guitar work is fantastic. The vocals, mediocre. I like how they've stepped outside of the verse-chorus verse structure again, so they're very technical. Love Kiko's guitar work. I wouldn't call it a mixed bag, I would call this a success. Not quite as good as the last album, Dystopia. Yourself?
So, having listened to it, and this was one album I actually did, I went through every track, listened through it. For me, with Megadeth, it seems to me that they're going down this route of everything is all about guitar virtuoso, it's all about speed, it's about technique. So if you're into that, and that's what, it seems to be a lot of Megadeth fans, that's what they wanted. They wanted
The shredocracy, as they know. Yep.
Thing for me though is I got into Megadeth with Rust in Peace. Loved Countdown to Extinction, loved Euthanasia, my favourite album by them. I liked the fact they went down into a commercial songwriting route. They still had great guitar riffs and great solos in there, but they had a much clearer vocal melody. What I didn't find on any point on this album was a vocal line that had any form of hook The vocals were ludicrous at points. There's a thing about Mars and stuff in there, and I was like, "What are you on about?"
Oh, is this one? I wanna.
Dave Mustaine
Be an
is
astronaut?
lost. He's something about being an astronaut, go to Mars. He's on another planet at this point on lyrics, and it feels to me like the songs were written from a guitar standpoint to be technical, speed, thrashy, great tracks, taking you all the way back to something like So Far So Good So What.
I love that
Pete
album.
Sells, but Who's Buying. It's taking you right back to their earlier riffage, but with a modern sound. But I don't think he's
vocals let it down.
vocals to me. I didn't find a hook. I was listening to it again today, and I was
do you know,
listening to great speed.
you do raise a good point. I did hear a lot of So Far So Good So What, but to me, I thought they were recycling Euthanasia, and I'll tell you why. There are still some songs on there that he's clearly looking at it from a conventional songwriter point of view, but using very technical riffing. And that's what I like about Euthanasia. They're still using technical thrash riffs and seeing, can we make a pop song out of this? And they were doing that on this album. I like that song Night Star because that's the one that's got Ice-T on it, isn't it?
Right.
I enjoyed that. I think the singles are very strong. Couple of fillers on that. And what's the that song Junkie? That is just fucking innocuous, isn't it? Nothing happens in that song. You're just like, this is a filler. If you want an example of a filler, the song Junkie by Megadeth on this album. I've heard it 5 times and I can't remember anything about that song.
But as far as thumbs up or thumbs down, what do you call it?
Oh, thumbs up. Yeah, to me, they've had a few shockers over the last 15 years, and this is a high point. I think it's a good album.
So I would say for Megadeth, as far as what they set out for, it's a thumbs up from that. For me personally, it's not an album I'm going to listen to again. It was a thumbs down for me personally.
Don't feel bad.
There was nothing there that kind of made me want to revisit it or re-listen or give it even more than a secondary.
Can we just check, what was the last album that Andy listened to from Megadeth, and what year did you last listen to them?
I got Countdown to Extinction.
1992, everybody.
And that was it, you gave up to that. I was like, no,
So
not doing it anymore.
Andy's not listened to Megadeth since 1992.
Okay, and
Which one with Hangar 18 and...
That's Rust in Peace,
Rust in
which
Peace.
is one of the greatest
Is that
bands of all
after?
time. No, before, 1990. Clearly you bought that from World War Song cassette, I imagine. Yeah.
that's when they put out that great album on, what was it? There was, what was it? Countdown to Extinction they put out, and they thought, yes, we finally did it, and then Metallica put out the Black Album. And they were like, fuck!
There's a good one on the Bill and Ted soundtrack. Go to
Yeah,
Hell.
that's great. Go to Hell.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
sorry.
song.
Their bonus tracks were actually really good.
Yes.
Okay, we've got one more album to talk about. So the final album for this week to talk about is Venom Inc. and There's Only Black. Andy, what did you think of it?
In summary, not as good as the previous one. Was it Ave Santana?
Oh, the 2017 one. Yeah.
Again, this won't surprise you, Kirk. I've never really been a Venom fan, to be honest. You know,
This is a man wearing a Bathory t-shirt who started out as Venom clones. So,
yeah,
okay.
Well, Bathory Rule, not from Venom, not for me really. I've heard the odd track over the years. The Kronos era and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sort of categorised the songs into there's faster tracks and there's sort of mid-paced plodding thrash. I think the faster tracks work better overall. I think conversely, my favourite song is one of the slower ones, the title track.
Oh, that's really,
Black,
yeah, I agree with that. I
example.
think that stands out.
Song 9's got a great chuggy riff in the middle. I won't be rushing back to listen to it again, but yeah, it's a decent album. From the genre, I'm sure Venom Inc. and Venom fans will love it, but I personally prefer the predecessor.
Yeah, okay.
Absolute bangers on that one.
Andy?
This one not so much.
Yeah, well, for a start, I was surprised. This is a band where the two main songwriters are in their 60s, and they are still writing crushing extreme metal. So I reviewed this the other day, and it will be published very soon, and I say this. Extreme metal starts in Newcastle upon Tyne in 1978 with Venom, as far as I'm concerned. They were the first band that really took metal into a direction where they sounded evil. They had this raw punk sound, and there's a song that they wrote on their first album called Angel Dust, which has no melody whatsoever. Now, I don't think that was intentional, but I would say that is the first extreme metal song ever written. Venom Inc., let me just make it clear, they were not losing plaintiffs in a legal dispute with the official Venom band led by Kronos, so Jeffrey Dunn, Mantas. They reunited the 1989 album Primeval. I really enjoyed this album. I'm surprised that people in the 60s are still writing real headbanging thrash metal, no compromise, really fucking heavy, technical, with a bit of a prog sparkle to it. I heard King's X and Dream Theater in there as well. Yeah, there were one or two moments where you're like, okay, this sounds like a biker rock band from the 1980s, but on the whole, really impressed and surprised by how good this album was.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't listen to every song back to back all the way through. I did a kind of listen to the first 15, 20 seconds of a song, jumped about ahead a minute, listened to about another 30 seconds of the song, see what it was about, and then jumped to the end of it, and then did that for each track to try and get an idea of the song, the album as a whole.
Yeah.
What I found myself listening to was each track was like, yeah, good start, good middle, good end. Is this the same song again? I'm kind of jumping through and found a lot of similarities as I was jumping through. Thinking,
Yeah, I think every song's almost an E minor, isn't it?
Yeah. And there was the same tempo in a lot of cases, the same kind of style of riffage, and that's not a bad thing. None of the songs were really bad. There wasn't anything that kind of made me completely go, wow, this is amazing,
Do you think
I've got to do it.
You're saying that it wasn't monotonous though either?
It wasn't monotonous, it
Yeah.
felt quite safe.
I agree. I agree.
It didn't feel like they were going to push any boundaries out there, but as you said, in their 60s, are they really trying to push boundaries? Are they trying to go for a classic, fresh sound? And to me, that was a very classic, fresh sound.
Yeah.
There wasn't any modernness to it, just a clean production tone. I didn't mind it. I was quite surprised by it because I was expecting something a lot worse. Cause I have heard like 80s
Early Venom,
and
yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I couldn't stand early Venom.
Yeah, there's
I was probably
absolutely
like you,
no
I
high
probably
right
heard
there.
it and was like, that's not for me. But
Yeah.
yes, I could do more. But okay, so what are we saying? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yeah, thumbs
Yeah,
up for me.
thumbs
I'll
up.
listen
Thumbs
to it
up.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
really
Venom
impressed.
was our winner this week.
Yes,
Venom Inc. There you
Venom
go.
Inc.
Venom Inc. beat Megadeth. So there you go. Okay, so the next segment in today's episode, this is still episode 1, we are going to ask you a question. Now, I've got the questions, you guys haven't had a chance to see what these questions are. We're going to pick one question per episode, and we're going to discuss it as a group and see if we can come up with a consensus of an opinion on this.
No chance.
Ready? So, first question for today's episode is, should the amount of classic and vintage metal bands, I'm talking bands that are like 30 years plus, not in age, but have been in the industry 30 years plus, be restricted at music festivals?
What the fuck?
So, for instance, example, so let's say, no, it's about how
Should
many,
they be still headlining? Is that the
So,
question?
for instance, if you were to talk about something like Download, you have a band like Metallica headline, but then if you look through the rest of the bills, you then start to see all these other bands that are on the main stage. It's all bands that have been around for like 30 years. Testament. And you could go through and you can almost take that flyer or that poster from this year's Download and go back 30 years and it would be the same bloody bands, which means no bands in the lowest tiers are getting a chance to go through because people are still riding that wave of nostalgia about the amount of big bands. Now, I know that there is an element of, well, if you put the big bands on, you're going to get them to go, but surely if you had Metallica headlining, you could probably still do a big festival with a lot of smaller bands underneath. They don't have to be like the smallest bands, but there are a lot of bands that are not getting onto the main stages to take that next stage up to icon level, if you like.
Can we fire this to Andy on the proviso? Let's all agree no one's going to dislodge Metallica as the headliner because they're the biggest metal band of all time. Andy, what's your view?
That's another question.
What's your view?
Sort of David's summary just now. I mean, are we asking? Let's have Metallica as an example of the headliners, but then restrict the number of similar bands on that bill to allow more space for up and coming bands.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like,
you said Metallica will still draw people to the festival or whatever
Yeah.
it is, but do you need Judas Priest, Testament,
need to have-
Anthrax on there?
For some
Yeah.
reason, Testament comes to mind,
Testament
and I like
comes- well, Testament
Testament.
comes up
They're
a lot,
always
but-
there, aren't they?
But you've
Yeah.
got, so you see Metallica on there, then you've got the Megadeths on there, and then
Saxon,
you've got
what the fuck? Another
Korn-
one.
Korn's on
Saxon,
there.
what are they doing on there?
Yeah, where are the bands? We're talking like the bands. I mean, bands like Avenged Sevenfold, they've been going a
Yeah.
fair old chunk of time now themselves, and they still struggle to get on. They'll get onto the main stage, but they'll never get to headline stages.
Yeah,
because
you're right.
There are too many of these bands. Now, I'm not saying that bands shouldn't be playing. They should have a retirement age where you kind of go, no, you've had your show. Piss off now. Let some new bands
Could
through.
we turn
But-
if we turn the question on its head, it's basically what do Spirit Box and Ginger have to do to be taking those slots from Testament and Saxon? Because Ginger and Spirit Box are
Yeah.
clearly, you know, two bands that are really taking metal to new areas, and they've got a new fan base of people that wouldn't listen to fucking Slayer. Let's be honest.
My problem, I think, is that if you go back to 80s and 90s metal, it was done through what was pushed through the radios, what was pushed through MTV, and what was pushed through in your local rock radio and metal scenes. So you had whatever the biggest bands were at the time was what you got exposed to, or whatever was playing in your local
Almost
circuit.
like who had the fucking gold record of the time.
And
Royal
whichever
MTV
bands came into
for the
town
top.
to play on tour were the
Yeah.
way you got to exposure. Because a lot of the bands I got into were because they were on support slots.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only time I got to find out about them, and then I got really into them and started buying their albums. The problem we've got now is music is so accessible. You have so many bands to listen to that no band I think is ever going to get to that level where they are seen in the same light as the Metallicas and stuff, because they just can't be anymore. It's almost like you can just go onto Spotify and listen to a million different songs by a million different bands.
But do you not raise
Same range.
I think what you're raising
That
there
issue.
is, right, so look at the 90s. Let's use an example. Reading Festival, 1995, Smashing Pumpkins headline it. They've only done 3 albums.
Mm-hmm.
But Siamese Dream sold 4 million records. Melancholy Infinite Sadness was about to come out. Everybody was going to buy it, and we knew that was going to be the future of rock music at the time. But what we talk about here, physical sales, CD sales, which does not happen now. So
That's a commitment. When you buy an
Yeah.
album by a band, you're committing to that band. When you download it or listen to something on Spotify, there's no commitment to that
No.
band. It's a throwaway idea. You go on there, you
Yeah.
listen to it, and you decide if you like it, and you might add it to a playlist or something. But you're not committed to that.
does put it this way, right? The modern day organisers of the Reading and Leeds Festival, instead of looking at album sales, which we know is almost obsolete as a metric, are they looking at fucking YouTube views and monthly Spotify listeners? No, they're not. They're not. So that probably explains why the legacy bands are still high on
I also think
the bill.
But why can't the legacy bands just go and do their own tour? Rather than, I mean, is it because they make so much more money by doing a festival circuit versus doing a tour? Because if you are a big band, and surely you would make more money playing the venues yourselves and doing a tour as one of these big numbers rather than getting onto a festival. I mean, I get bands
Yeah.
going to do the festival to be part of it, but surely with the amount of stages they've got at festivals and stuff like that, you're limited to how many bands you can actually see. And
Yeah. I know
to
what you
me
mean.
personally, I would say they should restrict it. Now maybe it should only be like classic or vintage metal bands.
But that's
I
an
think
insult
maybe
to
that should
those
be
bands because they're still
20%,
writing,
20%
they're still
bill.
putting albums out. So like, right, this is the last time we'll mention them. Testament, by the way, are a metal supergroup. Steve DiGiorgio on bass, Gene Hoglan on drums. You know, Chuck Billy's one of the best vocalists. So these are legends, right? It's an insult to them to say, oh, we've got a classics or veteran stage.
What about
No, not keeping to one star. I think what David's saying
a
is,
percentage of how many bands?
yeah,
you
I
should-
agree.
So what are you saying there?
Yeah, headline. You know, let them headline the 3 days. Get 3 legacy bands, classic bands, whatever, however you want to
Yeah,
describe
split
them,
them up
and
on the
fill the bill with the
next tiers.
the next
people that
tiers.
are
Yeah,
replaced.
you can put bands in tiers, build the bill up like that. Otherwise, you are going to have, you know, who do you go and see?
So
What band?
going back to what I was saying there.
The question is limit them. I think.
Okay,
yes.
so do you know I said how does Spirit Box
that way.
be the band below Metallica?
Yeah, they've
Is
got-
that
they've
a
gotta
way?
go onto the
What,
bill.
by
They've
social
gotta-
engineering? Is that the what we were saying?
It's-
Or
yeah, I
like
think
quotas?
by
Come
giving
on.
them the opportunity to be on those stages with those sort of crowds will generate more interest in these bands. But I also think you raised one other point which I think could be a criteria, is they need to be actively promoting something. So
Yeah.
let's use Testament. Right?
Again,
So we really like Testament, by the
So
way.
let's
The
say
1994 album
So
Low as well.
If
Is
they, were on,
fantastic.
if they were on a festival bill and they haven't released an album in the last 5 years, should they be on that bill anymore? I don't think they should.
No, true.
I think it should
agree.
be
Yeah.
current. So even like Metallica.
Because Anthrax, by the way, keep appearing on festivals and they don't
I
have
know.
a fucking album to promote, do they?
Let's not talk about Anthrax.
Anthrax is a great band. Yeah.
But okay, so our consensus is to
There
limit
is
them
no
to some degree.
consensus.
limit to some degree. Yeah.
Limit to some.
No, I disagree. Don't.
Okay, so it's a 2-1. So you don't.
I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of having a quota of, oh, this band was formed in 2015, therefore they've got to be third on the bill, and they will dislodge
Let's have
Testament, Sacred Right. They'll dislodge Sacred
a-
Right.
Okay. quite
So
right.
no consensus for
No
me.
consensus.
Don't
All
do
right,
it.
fine. Well, let's see what people say. Put it in the comments down below what you think we should do or people should do. Yeah, we have.
And if
choice.
Testament want to make comments,
Testament,
hey,
put it
we'd
in the
be
comments
happy-
down
We'd
below.
be happy to speak to Chuck Billy.
Okay, let's move on.
One last time, Richard. Headbang with us.
I stand alone, the sun is shaking around. I say not just beyond the shimmering sun. These adversaries are something positive. No fight, no one is not just stop to them. My God, I'm not into this shit. I need some help, there's no way to go back. Take my life. Give me some love and a little power. Shoulders my eyes, tired of all inside. Step from this voice, shifting the world. I'm coming back to the stars. Something I change, this is all fire. Making myself to walk, lies in bed. I found myself inside this hole again. For such a place I got my sentiment. And they can tell the crew that doesn't win. I saw my empty life. My life, born into this trap. There's no way to live that way. Take my hand. Out of the sun, there is no real winner in my way. Soul is my eyes, shining apart and stand. No temper's voice, chanting around the night. To the sky, shining the joy again. It's so loud, taking my love to my eyes. You think
Come on, let's see the fucking circle, big guy, man. Come on! One last time!
Okay, so we've got Dan Poole from English thrash metal sensations Must Kill. and we just want to find out what's going on at the moment in the band. Andy, over to you.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for coming. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome. For the viewers at home and for those who don't know, could you just give us a quick summary of the history of the band?
History of the band, so we're pretty new. I think we formed in around 2018. God, this seems like such a long time ago now. So, I mean, that's nearly 4 years ago now. But,
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, so, but this band was in the making probably about a year or two before that. So, we formed, so basically I had the idea for Muskill in about 2016. I have my vision of what I want the music to be like, the whole band as a concept, and I took my time to write the songs, find the musicians, the right people, and we recorded our first EP, I think it was in the end of 2019, and then we released it so it's called Go to Malevolent, and we released it in March 2020, and that's when the pandemic hit, so it was no coincidence, mate. So.
Can I just say as well, it was the first ever review we did for Scream Blast Repeat, and we gave it a 9 out of 10, and to this day, I still say this is one of the best records I've heard over the last 3 years. It's an EP, 4 songs, but hey, this is not thrash metal nostalgia, this is really taking it, I wouldn't say in a new direction, but just reinvigorating it. I really loved it, and I think we're very protective of Muskill, aren't we, in the southeast of England, in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, that you're kind of like the band that we say, this is our band. If anyone criticises you, we're really offended by it. No one criticises Muskill. Awesome. Honestly, you guys are just like the fucking legends at the moment of the scene.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It is really, really good.
Thank you. It really means a lot, to hear that, because we worked really hard on it. I think it took me 6-7 months to write one song. So the band doesn't operate. It's not just one person who writes the music, but I am kind of the ideas man. So the ideas come from me, and what we've got all the people, when we come together, they just add their bits on top, and then especially with the new music. So the first EP is mainly me with. You'd say 90% had come from me, and then the rest, the band, kind of just put those little bits of magic on top. So, but the concept of this band is, my first love is thrash metal from the 80s, thrash, and kind of old school death metal, the kind of death metal from Florida, Obituary and Death and stuff like that. And but I don't want to keep just writing stereotypical thrash, generic thrash all the time, because it's boring. It's been done to death. We don't need another thrash metal band, so why not just take all the elements that I love about not just thrash and death metal, even some pop stuff, electronic music, let's put it all together, let's see what's going to happen, So for me that's interesting. If I'm just going to write generic thrash again, I'm not really interested. So
I've got to say that, on the the EP Goes Malevolent, which came out in 2020, track number 1, the title track, my God, right, I was listening to that again today, and that is such a complex song, but it's so memorable as well. I think that's what's unique about what you're doing. So you've got these really technical riffs, and you've got these really I would say progressive structures almost like Megadeth, Rust in Peace, where you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
But it's catchy. And the other thing is as well, even you're writing thrash metal, but it sounds like you said, a death metal band as well. But there's nothing now when you listen to extreme metal, it's hard to listen to 12 songs of death metal, because it's just monotonous.
Exactly.
And you put your EP on and you just want more. It's like, wow, this is really, you're covering a lot in there, but there's still that foundation of thrash metal and death. So we have that really lazy genre tag, death thrash, which no one obviously agrees with, but that's kind of where you are, aren't you? But I fucking love that EP. It just really blew me away when I heard it.
That's really good to hear. And, we want to make every song as different as possible. I don't want it to be oh, this song sounds like the last one they did, or etc. Because, how many bands could you say? So many bands are doing that these days. I rarely get excited about new releases these days because it's just nothing new, boring. It takes a lot to blow me away. Although Behemoth just released their new album and I'm fucking loving it. So
interesting. It's quite a
say that, so.
It's quite a divisive album, that isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, so just the idea is to try and make every song as different as possible. It's something that can appeal to everyone, and gets you excited, So.
for anyone who's seen you live or heard the EP, will know that you and Daryl are very accomplished guitarists, and Kirk, you touched on it, how technical and the material is. Who is your sort of guitar hero? Who influenced you? Who do you look up to? Who inspires you to do what you do?
I have a few guitar heroes. So Dave Mustaine would be one of them. He's just got this amazing attitude on his guitar, even with his lead playing. Obviously, if you look back at the classic like Rust in Peace lineup, Marty Friedman is the fucking god.
Yeah.
And when you hear Dave Mustaine play a solo, it's Dave Mustaine. He has this raunchy, just playing style. So for me, that's really inspiring. And Alexi Laiho is like, for me, like the god as
Children
well.
at bottom. Yeah.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
absolutely
by the way.
amazing.
Yeah, what a legend.
Exactly. And Jeff Waters was. I'm a really big fan of Jeff Waters from Annihilator.
Yeah.
As well.
Wow.
I'd say the first 5 albums. Like, I'm a complete fanboy about Annihilator. The newer releases these days, I'm not a fan of. Again, it just doesn't sound like it's anything special. But yeah, they're my kind of guitar heroes. And obviously Chuck Schuldiner as well. Just because of all the ideas and the music that he created in his songs, and that just blows my mind.
There's definitely some death elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do justice, to the death influence. I don't think you rip them off at all. You really use that harmonic minor type approach, don't you, to metal, especially on that song Septicity.
Yeah, exactly. And
that comes from Death, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. You just wanted to say Death have a very specific sound, especially when they harmonise stuff, and whenever we're talking about doing harmonies, I'm like, it has to sound like the kind of Death sound, you know, because it just sounds the best.
By the way, I'll just
repeat,
repeat, there's nothing, I don't think you rip them off at all. They're under an influence, but
Don't you think it's interesting that, how long ago Death were around? They're not around, they haven't been around for so many years, but they're still so fucking popular. That's just like a testament to how amazing their music was.
What would he have created?
Exactly, So, you see so many people walking around, myself as well. I've got so many Death t-shirts. People walking around with Death t-shirts. They don't exist anymore.
I know.
And they haven't for a long time.
I remember obviously when he died in 2001, and that was the era of new metal, wasn't it? But even like what would have been seen as like the anachronistic legacy metal, death metal, thrash, which, let's be honest, was not popular in the late 90s, early 2000s. But everyone came together like, wow, this is the passing of a legend. And it's almost like, like you think about like Meshuggah, who have influenced everyone, and their album sales come nowhere near their level of influence. And Death are even better example of that, aren't they? It's like, as you just said there, Andy, can you imagine if Chuck Schuldiner was still alive today? My God, the praise, the sycophants that he would be receiving.
Exactly.
To me, they are probably are the best.
What was your thoughts on the Sound of Perseverance album? What he's moving into in the current.
I love it. It's one of my favourite albums. But my favourite album is Individual Thought Patterns, and obviously Symbolic. But that is, I can say that's probably second or third. Actually, I love it. Just everything about it.
I straight off a little bit. The Controlled Denied album. I didn't listen to it at the time. I don't know quite why, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's just it's Death, it's Chuck, but next level.
He was really into power metal at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah,
that's
definitely the influence.
And in terms of, because I know like Daryl isn't here in terms of like for the interview and stuff, but I would say that he is the best guitarist I've ever played with.
He's phenomenal.
He's unbelievable.
By the way, Daryl Cooper, lead guitarist for Musco. Wow, you're right. I mean, live as well. He's doing sweep picking live and making it look so easy. And nobody makes sweep picking look easy live. And so I was shocked by that. I was like, what?
He just has this unbelievable attitude on guitar.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone locally anyway, or the bands we play with, that can match him. Like,
he's very aggressive as well. He's like, do you know that guitar player? Wes Hauck, who was in that band The Faceless.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
How aggressive is he in his picking technique? And Daryl's a bit like that, isn't he? It's like, fucking hell, that is really... I'm really surprised that someone is being so aggressive with their picking technique when you watch that. Yeah.
Definitely, I'm not even close to being the guitar player he is.
Yeah, I mean, and fuck me, you are good. You play your solos as well, don't you?
Yeah, but with the future stuff, I'm actually coming away from that.
Yeah.
Because I don't practice leads enough, so it's not my passion. I think if I can add a bit of colour to a song, I will. But my strength is in like the kind of songwriting side.
Do you think Mustaine probably went in that mode of thinking, didn't he, as well? When you've got someone like Friedman, why do you need to be
later on
playing the solos? Yeah.
Definitely. So, and to be honest, he's good enough. Like don't want to write solos for solo's sake. You know,
No,
it's just,
you're right. Yeah.
So it's all about the song, whether I can write something that, wow, this adds colour to it. But for me, it just gives me anxiety now playing solos. I'm just like, because I don't practice enough. I just practice riffs.
Yeah,
riffs. You know,
and
so
you've got to sing as well, which is very difficult, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like,
it's like second nature to me now.
Yeah,
right? Like,
is it?
I don't even think about it.
like,
It's
well,
like-
even on the title track, I mean, there's
No, I
a
don't think
lot
about
of
it.
really
No.
technical
Literally,
thrash
we'll be
riffs.
playing live, and I'm thinking about something else.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't even think about the lyrics because I've just it's like muscle memory.
Yeah. Because
I've never played guitar in a band without doing vocals, and I only did it because we could never find anyone, so it was pure coincidence, you know. But I would never change it. Like, it feels weird about having a microphone.
because your vocals are very strong live as well. I remember when we first, when I first saw you, I think it was 2020, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is someone who's playing really technical riffs, but really muscular, extreme metal, harsh vocals as well. But the enunciation, you could hear every word as well.
And
I've just not seen
is
that.
very, very important to me, but
Yeah.
I haven't had to practice it that much. It just comes naturally. So I
Yeah.
just think I'm a bit lucky.
Yeah,
You know,
that's.
it's not like, I practice enunciation.
I think that
It's,
is one of the strongest assets of the band. The vocals are very strong. You're not just. Hey, don't get me wrong. I love screaming, right? It isn't raw, is it? What you're doing? There's a real technique to it because you can hear what you're doing. Obviously, Dave Davidson from Revocation. You have played. He's been. I think was he your guitar teacher at one point?
Yeah, I had him for a few lessons and stuff like that. And like, he's fucking phenomenal.
But his vocals are excellent, aren't they, as well? Yeah. So real good enunciation. And when I saw that live, it's like that's very rare to see someone. I'm watching you, and you've got it's a plug-in microphone, and you are basically naked when you're doing that, and fantastic. Really good enunciation.
Yeah. I'm just an angry person, so that's why I just confuse me.
It's because he supports Manchester United.
Exactly. So
Before we move on to your next projects and everything, the album artwork, very sort of Death influence, almost Ed Repka style. And last point on the EP, congratulations for not rhyming death with last breath.
no, it's,
So many bands do.
do you know what? Didn't even. That was probably just a fluke. So, and actually, we went to Ed Repka first of all to do this concept. So I had the concept in my head of how I wanted it to look like, and he said his assistant said it's going to be X amount, and then I came across Dan Goldsworthy, and he is just as good, if not better. Like he's basically, okay, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. He's better, but he's. Everyone looks at that and go, oh, did Ed Repka do that? So, and now we've got someone who I intend to do a lot more artworks for us in the future because he is unbelievable, Dan Goldsworthy. So, and he's always quite booked up as well. So I think he actually just left his day job so he could do this full time. That's how in demand he is because of all the big, the bands he does. So.
Brilliant. Give me if I'm wrong. Is there one new track you've aired live?
So check. We've done two at the moment that we're very comfortable playing.
Yeah.
We actually have 4 new tracks now.
Yeah.
But 2 of them aren't live worthy because we want to play it as tight as possible.
No More springs to mind.
Yeah.
Really like that one. What's the other one?
Cause and Effect.
Cause and Effect. Yes.
Cause and Effect.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 4 songs. Is an EP imminent? Is it coming soon?
Yeah. So we really wanted to do it towards the end of this year. So Bell, the drummer, he literally just got married a couple of weeks ago. So and he's
Congratulations, James.
Yeah.
What a nice guy. I love that guy. He is the friendliest person you'll ever meet. Yeah.
Lots of things going on towards the end of the year, and we're like, when is it going to be realistic for us to financially pay for this because we're doing it all of ourselves, and to release it. So it's most likely going to be February next year. But so we finished the songs now, but we're already writing for the album.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give a time limit and say this is when I want to release it, but because you could say, okay, you're releasing an EP so long after releasing the first one. Was it 2020? So that's going to be 2020.
I think
But we had a
COVID explains
pandemic,
a lot of that. Yeah.
I mean, I was living in another country for the whole year of 2020.
Which country were you in?
Germany. So.
I love that. Why were you? Sorry to go off. Why were you in Germany?
So with my job, I was working there before the pandemic. I met someone.
Yeah.
And then I was going to visit her, and I got basically the weekend of the when everything went into lockdown, I got stuck there.
Oh wow!
So I decided just
what
to
a great
stay.
country to be stuck in. I love Germany.
Yeah.
I visit
love
there
it.
all the time.
Do you? Yeah. It was in Düsseldorf. So
the fashion capital of Germany.
Yeah. So maybe in 5, I'm thinking about 5 years maybe trying to move there potentially.
You
so,
should do. You
know,
should do.
But if,
yeah.
but if I did that right now, it would kill the band. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason I'm
So
saying it.
don't move to Germany. Actually, forget about my advice. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to think there won't be such a long gap between releasing the next EP and an album. You know, because I've got so many ideas, so it's not sure in that department. So
Okay. Right, well, thanks again, Dan. Been an absolute pleasure.
thank you for having me.
All the best.
Really enjoyed it. Thank
You
you.
know, I think Kirk Tutser absolutely love Muskill, and you know, all the
I'm very
best for the future.
protective of the band. This is my band. If anyone criticises them, I will be very offended.
Cheers.
That's right. Cheers. Thanks.